Hey everyone, and welcome to the MinDak Gold and Silver Market Report, brought to you in about 5 minutes or less, because we know you're busy. We're not going to waste your time. Today is Friday, March 10th, 2023, and we are back in the video production studio finally. Good to be with you today. Now, let's get right to today's gold and silver prices. Gold is at $1,864 an ounce. That is up 32 bucks so far today, having a nice little morning in gold. Silver is at $20.77 an ounce. Also a nice morning for silver, up 62 cents an ounce. That is up 3%. Good to see with silver. In our last video, all the way back in mid-December, gold was at $1,788 an ounce, so we've seen a nice little pickup in gold since December. Silver, however, back then was $23.10 an ounce, so we're down considerably in silver, and you have to ask yourself, where is the traction in these gold and silver prices, especially silver? What's going on? We'll get to more on that in just a minute. What's going on in the news? Well, inflation is proving to be a lot harder to bring down than the Fed had bargained for. Imagine that. With the January CPI numbers coming in at 6.4%, you can see that's down a little bit from the staggering 9.1% number from the June report, but it's still a far cry from their stated target of 2%. And they're not done yet. Powell signaled this week that another half-point rate increase is coming at the next meeting, and possibly a faster pace of rate hikes is coming in the future as well. Now, about those gold and silver prices I was talking about earlier. The Fed has raised rates at a historically fast and steep pace. They're up over 400% from where they started. They started at 0.25 to 0.5. We're now at 4.25 to 4.5. That's a huge increase. When the Fed raises rates like this, it's good for the dollar. It makes the dollar a lot stronger. And inversely of that, that drags on precious metals. It brings the gold and silver prices down. So given the fact that we've had this historic bout of rate increases over the last year, I'd actually say that gold and silver prices in this environment have actually held up pretty well. The big question is, how high can these rates go? Because they're really messing with other aspects of the economy, like mortgage rates and housing and credit cards and consumer loans and the stock market. And of course, the now staggering interest payments on our debt, which will soon be over $1 trillion per year. So let me see if I have this right. The Fed will have to print money to pay the interest on the debt, but that means there'll be more inflation. So they'll have to keep raising rates to try to bring inflation down. But if they do that, then they're going to have to print more money to pay the additional interest on the debt, which means they'll have to raise rates even more to try to bring inflation down. Does anybody see just how ridiculous this entire situation is? Look, I've said it before and I'll say it again. The only way we're getting out of this whole mess is through a default. And I'm not talking about a missed payment or stopping payments altogether. I'm talking about a devaluation of the dollar significant enough to equal a default. Inflation by itself is a default. So we've been defaulting for a long time, and it seems to be getting a lot worse recently, and I don't think it's going to be any better anytime soon. Here's a great question to ask yourself. Why are central banks buying gold hand over fist?
Why?
It's because they know its role as real money. They've known for 5,000 years gold has been money. They know it's going to be money in the future. Think about it for a minute. If paper dollars that they print were so valuable, they would be hoarding those. But they're not hoarding those. They're printing them to infinity. They're hoarding the gold. Pay attention to what the central banks are doing and plan accordingly. That's why I always like to say, gold is king, silver is queen, and cash is trash. What's going on in the shop? Well, we get asked this question a lot, especially by new buyers. What should I buy? Should I buy gold or silver? Which one's the best one to buy? Well, there's good news, folks. There's no wrong way to buy precious metals. You can buy gold, you can buy silver, and you're not going to go wrong no matter what you buy. But let's take a look at this 30-day gold to silver ratio chart. And what this shows is how many ounces of silver it takes to equal 1 ounce of gold. Historically, this number has been around 55 or 60, somewhere in that ballpark. And as you can see from the chart, we are now over 90. That's a pretty big number. And when you look at that number, it certainly makes silver just a little bit more attractive right now. But like I said, you can't go wrong buying gold or silver. The only way you can go wrong is to not buy enough or not buy any at all. Speaking of that, if you're interested in buying or selling gold, silver, coins, rare coins, anything like that, we would love to see you in our shops soon. We have 2 to choose from, one in Fargo, North Dakota, and our shop down here in the southern part of the country, Phoenix, Arizona, Fountain Hills, Arizona to be exact. Our phone numbers for both stores are right down on the bottom of the screen. And if you'd like to check us out online, please do. MinDakGold.com. You can check us out there. Also, one last thing, if you could just take a moment and leave us a comment, maybe like the video and hit our subscription button, we'd really appreciate it. It helps us out a lot, more than you know. Until next time, I'm MinDak Jack. And remember, if you can't hold it, you don't own it.